for Tuesday, September 29th, 2020. This is the Pro and Con Show, and I am your host, Michael James Ott. As always, I'm sure the one and only host of the Pro and Con Show ever. Hey, so the intent here is I'm, an individual citizen, and I'm trying to encourage my fellow citizens, that you, to be better citizens, okay? And by the way, I am not claiming that I have been this fantastic person my whole life, and I'm not claiming that I'm currently doing everything that I can do. But we all ought to work on trying to be better citizens, and I certainly am, and I'm encouraging you to do that. So there was plenty of apathy in my past, plenty. There were many elections where I didn't care. A few elections I didn't vote over the course of whatever the last 40 years that I was old enough to vote. But it's become clear to me, with age, you gain wisdom. And one of the things that's become clear to me, especially here of late, the last 10 years, is that clearly our democracy is in trouble. And the reason why it's in trouble is because we, the citizens like myself, you guys out there, we're not participating enough in what's going on with our government, okay? And the reality is that we need to do some things. We need to step in and try to fix this, to try to rehab it, okay? And I've talked many times about, the structure of the government, this idea that the folks in Philadelphia back in the late 1700s put together, the judiciary, legislative and executive branches, and some kind of checks and balances between those. That seems to be a pretty darn good idea. But we've really struggled, and the Constitution is completely silent on how you select people to put in there. And so what we've done is we've defaulted to this political party thing, which is nothing but two different groups, and why it ended up being two, I don't know, but basically two different groups of wealthy, influential people who try to form us into tribes using propaganda, basically. And we've been doing it. We've been allowing ourselves to do that. Most of us have, and we need to step away from that. It's the two-party system that's killing us. And so citizen statesmen, and the other thing that occurs to me before I go on to today's topic, which is facing it, is that, I started doing these shows, I don't know, a year and a half ago or something like that, with the intent that I was going to keep doing them, personal pledge. I'm going to keep doing them through the election in 2020. Well, guess what? That election is coming up on roughly 30 days away, and that's pretty amazing. And then I'm running out of shows, basically. So I think I need to do some soul searching about what I want to make sure I cover in these last 30 shows. Today's show is called Facing It, and the the novel coronavirus, and the associated pandemic with it has, of course, caused all kinds of trouble. And I've spoken at length about, we were very poor to act. The leadership of this country, and specifically because of Mr. Trump, we were horrific in trying to get ahead of this, and the way we could have gotten ahead of it, and the way we still can, but now it's an even huger issue, is testing, and then putting people in segregation, quarantine, if they test positive. And we will very quickly, if we test and segregate people and quarantine them when they test positive, we will very quickly get our arms around this No one will like it. I've been, now that where I work is, we get tested every week now. And at the current technology, there's these swabs that go up the nose, and it's not particularly pleasant. Now, it's not horrific. It's not like getting a tooth pulled or drilled into a nerve on your tooth or anything like that, but certainly it's not pleasant. But I hope a vast majority, 99% of you out there would say, give me the test. Test me, test me, test me. I am willing to take on that unpleasantness to get our lives back. Okay, the rest of our lives back, and we can do that. So today's show is called Facing It. And I bring up the coronavirus because my mother, I was doing an update on the coronavirus a few days ago, and she mentioned to me that she had watched the video, and she said, you know what, you touch your face a lot, and you're not supposed to do that. And she's right. And so I just want to, I have a little bit of anecdotal evidence about me and this place that I work in. So on the weekends, I work at this long-term care rehab facility, and there's quite a few elderly people and other people that are, would be in a weakened state if they were to contract this coronavirus, and I help try to protect them. So we screen people as they come in the door and so on, and I'm part of that team that tries to care and protect these people from the coronavirus. And so over time, and especially right when this thing was first announced, I was working there, and I was like, we should be wearing masks, because it was just intuitively obvious to me as an engineer, I guess, that this thing is spread by talking, singing, yelling, or whatever. It's little particles of moisture and stuff carrying the coronavirus. If I'm infected, and the reality is, we're all doing this all the time. When we're talking, we're actually, spitting. I know it sounds kind of gross, but we are. It's not in a way that you can really tell, unless, of course, you hold like a piece of glass or something on a cool day. Then you can actually see the stuff there, forming in front of your face. But the reality is, that's what we're doing. And so clearly, hey, put on a mask. It's going to stop. And, you can argue, and it depends on the mask. Some masks are better than others. Okay, great. But no matter what kind of mask you put on, you're going to be doing a much better job. You're going to be knocking down 30%, 50%, 80%, 100%. Depends on the quality of your mask and how well it fits your face. Anyway, so let's go. So let's finish talking about coronavirus and anecdotally what seems to be working. And I've now read multiple articles about this, and there's hundreds, dozens, if not hundreds of epidemiologists and other scientists and stuff who are saying kind of similar words. So at work, we wear a mask. And there are these little procedural masks that we wear, and we change them every day. And we're taught not to handle them in the face and not to pull them down. And so this is, just to show you what's working for us. We have dozens of people within the facility, and then we have hundreds of staff members that come in and out of the facility to care for these folks. So we sanitize our hands thoroughly and frequently. Okay, so you help somebody, you push them down the hallway in a wheelchair, and help them into their room, and then you sanitize your hands. You go and pick up a tray of food and take it to someone, and they're having lunch. You set it down in front of them. You sanitize your hands. You help them eat if they, if you need to assist. Some of these folks need assistance in eating and stuff like that. you help them assist, and then you take the tray away and you sanitize your hands. We're just constantly sanitizing our hands with this alcohol stuff. The other thing that we're wearing along with the mask is we're wearing eye protection. Now, originally, we were all wearing face shields. We had these kind of bandana things with the full face shield on. And I personally, that is kind of the strongest thing you can do, is wear a mask and then have this face shield. Because if you think about it, if you're trying to stop particles, these little things from floating somewhere, if you put a plastic shield in front of you, you're going to stop those things from going forward anyway. They're going to, kind of dissipate away from people that you're talking to. And also, of course, if someone is coughing or something like that, you're going to get maximum protection. But honestly, I think one of the major things behind wearing this kind of stuff is the fact that it's, and getting to my mother's point, okay, getting back to her original point, is this is, you don't touch, okay? Normally in a day, if I'm just sitting around the house by myself, of course I thoroughly wash my hands when I come in the house. I'm touching my eyes, rubbing my nose, scratching my face, and I'm doing all those things. I have no kind of recognition of them. They're kind of just, because we've been doing them for decades. I've lived my whole life. And unthinkingly, just scratch or whatever. Well, now I've got these glasses on and this mask, and I'll tell you, the first weeks that I was doing this job and I was on the facility, you'd go to like touch your lips or whatever, and oh I can't, no, go to scratch your eye and end up hitting the shield or the safety glasses here that I'm wearing. Well, now I know, I've been doing this for so long, for so many weeks now, that I just don't touch these areas of my face. And honestly, that's the point I'm trying to make here, is that wearing this stuff, one of the attributes of it that I think is underestimated is it causes us to not touch ourselves in areas on our face that we normally would. And so the key thing though is, you want to do these things correctly. So don't touch around the front. And if you're going to take your glasses off, obviously you reach up here by the ears and you take them off. And then if you're going to take your mask off, you don't grab it by the front here, because this is this part of the mask is what's been taking the brunt of whatever, either trying to suck in theoretically coronavirus that someone else has been infected, and this mask has been protecting you from breathing in the coronavirus, so therefore it's on the outside, or you are infected. And so you're trying to breathe coronavirus through this thing. And so there's probably a lot of it if you're infected, there's probably a lot of it on the inside of the mask, and some of it has worked its way out to the exterior of the mask. So you just don't touch this. So the thing that I see a lot of average Americans doing is they're touching this. And Mr. Trump, in one of his speeches, he was talking about waiters in a restaurant, they were touching their mask here. Well, that's right. You don't want to touch it here. If you're going to do something with the mask, if you don't want it on your face, you grab it by the strings here in the back, or the straps, and you take it off. And so the one thing that is absolutely true in our facility for the vast majority of our staffers, and anyone that we try to train them if we see them doing otherwise, hey, take that mask off and then treat it like it's a soiled diaper or whatever. It's a nasty thing. So we take that thing off and we put it in a trash can, and then we sanitize our hands. And so just to finish the point then behind what my mother was saying, and she was right, you shouldn't be touching your face, especially if you're out in public And especially if you haven't recently washed your hands thoroughly or sanitized your hands thoroughly. If you're going to touch your face, and try to remember. And see, the great one of the, again, people don't like wearing the mask. They don't like wearing the eyewear or whatever. But one of the great things about wearing them is that, especially if you're out in public, is it reminds you, physically reminds you, to not be touching your face. And that, I'm personally convinced that's a big reason why our facility has gone, I don't know, 3 months now, 3.5 months without any infections or anything, because, you know, we have this pretty basic protocol in place. And those basic things, if all of us are doing them, and you'll read more and more articles about this, if all of us were doing them, the infection rate of coronavirus would go off a cliff. It would just, you know, tremendously drop. And, you know, is it worth it? Yes. Isn't it? Isn't it? I mean, you can argue this is inconvenient, but hey, I live in Wisconsin, and it gets winter around here, and I have to put on a heavy coat when it's cold out and it's snowing and everything. Is that inconvenient? Yeah. But do I do it? Yeah. Yeah. All right, so for the Pro and Con Show, my name is Michael James Ott, and until the next show, as always, bye for now.